Thanks, Charlie. Hey, Renegades, it's Sean Smith, and we're going to talk about this game that the Predators played this afternoon against the Minnesota Wild. Now, you heard the same thing I heard, then you knew that David Poile said that these three games over the weekend, and of course the game on Thursday, were going to have a lot to do with what the team was going to do at the trade deadline. Now, if we look back on the game against Boston, the Bruins came into town on a furious goal drive and kept it right on going. They made the Predators look silly, almost like they weren't even an NHL team out there, only for the Predators to turn around yesterday afternoon and play against a Panthers team that they demolished and made look silly. Now, here's the thing. You talk about maybe this game against the Wild being the rubber match or the bellwether game here to kind of see how things are going. You know, the Bruins, you could realistically argue, the best team in the NHL right now, should have come in and ragdolled the Predators. But you have to remember, and this is going to be very important here in a minute, that if the Bruins are a number one seed team, that's the caliber of team the Predators could expect to face if they wound up in the playoffs this season. Now, Panthers, a fair to Midland team, kind of like where the Predators are, but realistically took advantage of them, came out with something to prove, and whatever it was they had to prove, they definitely proved it. And then, of course, the Minnesota Wild today. Now, here's the thing. The Wild, going into this game, were 5 points ahead of the Predators, and they are currently in the last wild card spot. And that's kind of what the Predators are chasing right now. Now, they do have a few games in hand, and that's important to consider. But this game had a lot to do with how things are going to go, in my opinion. And, of course, I'm not David Poile. I'm not a member of the front office staff. I don't have anything to do with how this team runs or operates. But if I'm David Poile at this point, after seeing what happened today, and you could argue with me, you could say, Sean, you know, it was close. They just barely lost right at the end of the game. It's going to be okay. They just need a few more chances. There have been a lot of chances over the years. This team has squeaked into the playoffs the last few seasons. The whole return to play in the bubble against the Coyotes was embarrassing. This whole situation last season against the Colorado Avalanche. And yeah, I know what you're going to say, but Sean, they went on to win Stanley Cup. They're the best team in hockey. Right. And look what happened to them. They got their butts handed back to them in a nicely gift-wrapped package. But David Poile went out, got a few better players, and as far as I'm concerned, improved this team, even if it's just on paper. And it looks like this season is going to be the end of that playoff streak. But you're going to say, Sean, they could still make the playoffs. Okay, they could. But they're going to face a team, like we just talked about, like the Boston Bruins. And remember what happened when the Predators played the Boston Bruins? Yeah, maybe in a 7-game series they could squeak out a win, or they could show up and make a reasonable effort against them a night or two. But you're not going to beat the Boston Bruins. They are a juggernaut. And I know they're in a different conference. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that the caliber of team the Predators are going to play, if they manage, and that's a huge if right now, folks, squeak into the playoffs, is going to be just like the Boston Bruins, and they're going to get their rear ends kicked, handed back to them in what? A neatly gift-wrapped package. And that's what I think this fan base, and probably all of you Renegades out there, are getting tired of. Why continue to be mediocre when you could do some things to make the team great? That's what I want you to keep in mind as we head into this week. I don't know if David Poile's making the decision to go ahead and sell some pieces, but I think that maybe the argument he was hoping to see for keeping the team together didn't get made against the Minnesota Wild today. I would look for some pieces to move. I would look for some talks to start, heat up, and maybe something to happen over this next week, but definitely by the trade deadline. Charlie, Renegades, that's all I got. Charlie, sending it back over to you.